The problem with Christians is that anything they do easily, they don't value. That's why we think, I prayed, and Jesus answered me. I prayed, is your father deaf and dumb? Today, we'll delve into discussions about money and speed. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, from verse 13. I also saw under the sun this example of wisdom that greatly impressed me. There was a small city with only a few people in it, and a powerful king came against it, surrounded it, and built huge siege works against it. Now, they lived in that city a poor but wise man, and he saved the city by his wisdom. But nobody remembered that poor man. So I said, wisdom is better than strength, but the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are no longer heeded. Before I continue, let me state some key principles. Number 1. The silver and the gold belong to God. But in the modern economy, silver and gold are no longer used for transactions. The Bretton Woods institutions found out that gold was more prevalent in poor countries. During my time in medical school, a visa wasn't necessary for traveling to the UK. You could do it with just your ID card. Guy's Hospital in London was a common destination for part of our training. Back then, visiting the American Embassy meant being welcomed inside with tea, coffee, and snacks while applying for an American visa. In those days, Nigerian men were highly esteemed in both the UK and the US. Mauritana Mohammed's achievements, such as nationalizing British petroleum and contributing to the independence of Zimbabwe and other nations, highlighted the perceived power of African currency, especially Nigeria's, which instilled fear among white individuals. Nigerian families, known for their education, particularly stood out in the U.S., with the Igbo nation ranking as the 6th richest tribe globally, but also facing significant challenges. The presence of Nigerian professionals, often holding advanced degrees, added to this respect. However, the removal of currencies from the gold standard led to a decline in their value, impacting Nigeria's self-worth and economic stability. Number 2. The cattle on 1,000 hills belong to God, but in today's society they are controlled by a select few. Quoting scriptures may not always apply to modern situations. In today's era, wealth follows specific rules and principles. Even if you're righteous, lack of financial literacy can lead to poverty. While spiritual salvation is assured, material success may elude you. Like the wise poor man, who wasn't taken seriously, outcomes can be unjust. In 2 Kings chapter 4 in the Amplified Bible, a widow faced with debt approached Elisha saying, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and the creditor has come to take my 2 sons as slaves." Elisha asked, "What do you have in your house of sale value?" She replied, "Nothing but a jar of oil." Number 1. Belonging to a certain church or having a large ministry doesn't guarantee financial success. Your anointing, righteousness, or even your dedication to serving the Lord may not directly translate into wealth. Number 2. Consider the story of a man under Elijah's ministry who died poor despite his fear of the Lord and his righteousness. When his widow approached Elisha, she lamented that her husband, who served faithfully, died in poverty. Elisha, instead of praying immediately, asked a crucial question. He asked, "What can I do for you?" This question carries a profound lesson. Without a clear vision or dream for your life, even the most potent anointing won't lead to riches. You need to have aspirations and goals. For me, the life I'm living now aligns with the dreams I've always had since medical school. You might wonder why I didn't continue practicing medicine for long. At the age of 40, I witnessed something that left a deep impression on me. I saw my professor of medicine, a highly educated individual, reduced to begging a cattle dealer for $29 during Bahari's first term. It was a stark reminder that having knowledge and prestige doesn't always equate to financial stability. This site made me rethink my approach to life. I made a decision then and there. I decided that if I wanted to learn, I'd work for it. If I wanted to amass wealth, I wouldn't rely solely on academia. I resolved not to become a professor, but to pursue riches and leave a legacy for my grandchildren worldwide. By the time I reached 40, I stopped practicing medicine as I had planned. I made a conscious choice to live life at my own pace. I wake up slowly, avoiding the rush. I don't jump to answer calls or accept invitations indiscriminately. I reflected on my family's history. My father and senior brother hadn't invested in land, so I made it my mission to acquire land where they hadn't. I didn't settle for buying just a few plots. I invested in acres. In fact, the smallest piece of land I own is 4 plots, and I continue to expand my holdings. What is your dream life? Don't you have one? So, as you sit there watching or listening to this, what do you envision yourself being in 10 years from now? If you're 50 and working as a civil servant, you know the meaning of being a civil servant is akin to being a civilized slave. You're bound by time constraints. There's a set time you must report to work. Only slaves adhere to such restrictions. You can't leave earlier than stipulated, and you have no control over your income, salary, or retirement age. Some of you don't even want to retire. You prefer to continue in this servitude, so you falsify your age to prolong it. That's why we scrutinize primary certificates. They reveal when you were truly born. You manipulate your age to prolong your enslavement. You can't determine your income, which is why you often resort to strikes and protests for better conditions, only to settle for minor improvements. You know it's shameful, but don't glare at the screen like that. I can't change the truth I'm presenting. What you tolerate, you will celebrate. If you tolerate poverty, God will give you grace to manage poverty. You understand what I'm talking about. Number 2. You must have what I call detestability. There are some things you must hate. I hate to borrow because when you want to borrow, you first have to explain all your problems, endure scrutiny of your finances, and face potential rejection. You don't say no and confidently express your dreams. Instead, the lender might question why you didn't seek help earlier. I hate to borrow, and I hate to be intimidated. I went to a bank and there was a bishop present, dressed in his ceremonial attire. Despite this, when I approached, the manager respectfully attended to me, addressing me as doctor and inviting me to his office to sit down. Later, the bishop, perhaps feeling embarrassed, informed my wife that he saw me at the bank wearing casual clothes. I asked my wife, between the two of us, who was in line? It was the bishop. I never knew that banks don't close, they are only close to the poor. A bank manager can bring money to your house on Sunday. The bank is always only closed to the general public. We shall be the head and not the tail. There are some things you must hate. I hate owing house rent. I hate owing school fees. And I hate when a bank manager calls me to remind me of overdue payments. I refuse to be indebted to any bank. Apart from your dream life, you must have drive. This widow wasn't the only one with oil, but she hated the thought of her children being taken into slavery. I told someone that if none of my grandchildren wants to write job applications, I've already set up businesses for them to run and manage, ensuring they remain millionaires. What do you have of sale value in the house? If you're a civil servant or a civilized slave, you're like a basket full of holes. Most poor people resemble that basket. Why be civilized? Civilization degrades and levels you. It hinders your progress, preventing you from accelerating. You're processed and smoothed like a tire devoid of traction, incapable of running. When you receive income, it's akin to a spring, but wealth should be a lake. As you earn a salary and then spend on expenses like school fees, rent, toothpaste, and other necessities, you're leaking wealth like water into a basket. If your outflow exceeds your inflow, you can't become rich. At best, you'll remain comfortable, but true wealth will elude you. To become rich, you must have a multiplicity of what you sell or do that produces wealth, and then you must limit the flow outside. I don't buy luxury iPhones, cars, shoes, Louis Vuitton, or whatever the latest expensive materialistic possession is. Sales. What are you selling? What do you have in terms of sale value in your house? Number one, you're either selling your brain, and brains are the cheapest things to buy. Semi-illiterate people employ graduates, and professors rig elections for school certificate holders who want to be governors. What do you have of sale value in the house? C.K. Prahalad's concept illustrates that society is structured like a pyramid, with the majority at the base earning less than $2.50 a day. If you can create something that appeals to this vast market, you can achieve significant wealth. This is why services like POS systems are prevalent. They cater to the needs of the lower-income population, making financial transactions easier and bypassing the need for expensive benefits like retirement and health insurance for workers. Do you know why Milo, Bonfita, and milk are sold in sachets? It is so that the poor can afford to drink them. When Cowbell started, they were making $900 million per month. However, Picnic stated that they would not sell their products in sachets. Cowbell, on the other hand, targeted secondary schools. The poor might not drink a small amount of tea from a large container, but they are significant consumers. When a poor man uses toothpaste, he doesn't press out a small amount. He uses it from the beginning to the end and often squeezes it from the middle. This is a poverty mindset. Similarly, a poor man is the only one who puts stew on top of rice. The rich don't do that. When the rich have leftover rice, they freeze it instead. In the past, when lighting a gas cooker with matches, a poor person would light the match and then throw the stick away. However, a rich woman would light the gas and save the matchstick, using it again for the next light. When rich people serve you tea in their house, they might give you 1 or 2 cubes of sugar, but a poor person will put an entire packet of sugar on the table for use. So they knew that poor people are the ones who consume more. If we can take products to the poor at their doorstep in small units, detergents, coffee, sugar, meals, anything in small units, we can tap into their market. The poor man's major constraint is lack of restraint. A poor man can't control his temper. He must destroy something. He must burn something. The problem with poverty is excess, and once companies can bring products to your doorstep, they will keep making money. A poor man drinks alcohol more than a rich person, which is why brands like Hennessy and vodka sell well. What are the things you should sell? Number 1, focus on the Department of Stomach Sciences. Why is Dangote rich? He sells essential goods like salt. Every day, all of us contribute to Dangote's wealth. Anytime you eat bread, there's sugar in it. Anytime you cook soup, you're contributing to Dangote's riches. The economy thrives on your consumption. Consider noodles. You eat noodles, and you're eating Dangote's products. You use cement for building, and now he's moving into energy production. Soon, we will be buying fuel from Dangote, making him even richer. He is the richest black man because he understands and applies these principles. So, ask your neighbor, what do you have in your house that you can sell? In my house, apart from the school fees, which cover about 1,500 students, the school fees are the least component of our income. If you open a school and rely solely on school fees, you might struggle with salaries. So what do we do? You know, money is an idiot. It has no religion. It can go from a Muslim pocket to a Christian pocket and vice versa. Do you know how much money the Muslims are making from us every day? Carrot, cucumber, yam, Irish potato, cabbage. All of these are controlled by them, and that's why they sometimes talk to us any way they like. In Lagos, 6,000 cows are slaughtered every day. Did you know a liter of palm oil is more expensive than crude oil? Or that water in a hotel is more expensive than fuel at a petrol station? Anything that has to do with food is profitable. I have a canteen. The home economics lab was just lying idle, and the children would go home with my money, buying ice cream and other things. You have to know how to set traps for money. So we converted the home economics lab into a place where we produce snacks, beans, pie, donuts, and several other things. At one time, we sold Zobo and water. Do you know that the last time I counted, we were selling 40,000 USD worth of products every day? 40,000 is more than the offering of some churches. 40,000 times 5 days is 200,000. Times 1 month is 800,000. And times a term is 2.4 million USD. In a session, that's 7.2 million USD from snacks. My wife wakes up to cook rice for the children. I produce coconut candy, plantain chips, and potato chips. The potatoes I harvested will now be turned into potato chips. All this money that would be wasted on traffic vendors instead comes to us. I noticed someone selling ice cream in traffic, so I started selling ice cream too. Listen, you can't be sentimental and be rich. The rich are not sentimental about business. That's why supermarkets have price tags. You don't haggle. That's why electricity meters cut off once your balance is depleted. Even in operations, if your time runs out, it's over. Airlines don't negotiate fares. People remain poor by being overly nice and sentimental. Bring Christ to your business, but don't bring church to your business, because church people can be impractical sometimes. They will come to buy from you only when they don't have money. They wait until they are nearly dead to come to your hospital. Do charity from profit, not from capital. Don't tell me my wife delivered and I don't have money to pay the hospital bill. Pregnancy is not an emergency. It gives you 9 months' notice. Don't turn your lack of planning into a responsibility for me. You might think I'm wicked, but poverty has taught me otherwise. My father couldn't pay my school fees, so he went to meet his friend. His friend asked him, "Which school does your son attend?" He said, "Government college." His friend replied, "Why didn't you send your son to a poor man's school? They don't prevent someone from having big teeth, but he must have big lips to cover them." My father had one blind eye. I saw him cry from that blind eye, and I swear none of my children will ever go through that. You need to quarrel with poverty. You need to get angry with poverty. You need to stop giving excuses. There are many excuses, but no good reason to be poor. The day your father died, other people's fathers had died before him. The day your husband died, other people's husbands died too. Elijah was not sympathetic. He did not start crying. Sometimes, help can paralyze you. A butterfly was coming out of the pupal stage, and someone helped it. Now it couldn't fly. So, what are you selling? Are you the only one buying? Consider selling a service. Help people do what they cannot do, what they don't have time to do, or what they don't do well. Wherever there is a problem, there is an opportunity to make money. Look for problems and provide solutions. If you can do this, you will be rich. Don't run away from problems. Instead, seek them out and solve them. Next, let's talk about skills. If what you learned in university isn't feeding you, your certificate is just a receipt that you paid school fees for. If you study further but don't apply your knowledge practically, you're shutting the door on yourself. Anyone who is overly concerned about what others will say can never be rich, because poor people talk too much and criticize excessively. They analyze what they have not experienced and make unfounded accusations. If you know what someone has done to achieve a certain result, and you do the same things in the same environment, you will get the same results. It's not about luck. Sometimes, the length of your prayer is a measure of your misunderstanding. When you have the key to a door, you don't need to knock. When you pray and shake your head excessively, it means you're not reasoning well. Heads used for reasoning don't shake when praying. To make money from people, you must understand their tastes and appetites. Recently, a 16-year-old boy designed applications before even going to university. He is designing applications for companies in Italy and the U.S., and is opening a company in the U.S. at 16. Meanwhile, some at 16 are still struggling for food at home, and some at 30 are still living with their parents, wasting their potential. A 16-year-old recently passed the ICANN exam, demonstrating how young people are gaining speed and getting richer at younger ages. If you find yourself left behind in this generation, still thinking traditionally, it's your fault. Adapt, innovate, and take control of your destiny. Then the next thing is saving. If you indulge in the following F's, your financial progress will be slow: fashion, fancy gadgets, and frivolous spending. If you are not a fashion designer but feel the need to buy the latest clothes, the latest shoes, and the latest phones, you are setting yourself up for financial failure. When I was struggling, I had only 2 pairs of shoes. I carried my bag and my books on my shoulder. Nobody knew I was managing my money carefully. Instead of spending on luxuries, I was buying land and building my future while my peers were busy showing off and living the big boy lifestyle. I knew where I came from. I am the only surviving child of my father and mother. I don't have a brother, sister, or any family member who can lend me $100,000. So why would I spend as if I inherited wealth when I'm just starting to build my foundation? Are you following what I'm saying? Save like a slave so that you can live like a king. Now let me teach you about finances and speed. Take a calculator and do the math. 250 x 40 x 20 x 12 x 10. Did you get it? How much? 24 million. Here's the breakdown. If you can get 40 people to buy something for $250 USD from you for 20 days, each month in 1 year, 12 months, and you continue this for 10 years, you will make 24 million USD. Now let's look at how to get rich faster by increasing your volume and momentum. If you can increase the number of people buying from you, 80 people buying at 250 USD. 80 people, X 250 USD, X 20 days, X 12 months, X 5 years, for 24 million USD. This demonstrates that by doubling the number of buyers, you can achieve the same 24 million in half the time, 5 years instead of 10. 160 people buying at 250 USD, 160 people X 250 USD, X 20 days, X 12 months, X 2.5 years, or 24 million USD. Now, if you increase the price of the item, 80 people buying at 500 USD, 80 people, X 500 USD, X 20 days, X 12 months, X 2.5 years, or 24 million USD, 160 people buying at 500 USD, 160 people, X 500 USD, X 20 days, X 12 months, X 1.25 years, over 24 million USD. So the secret to getting rich faster is to increase the number of customers and/or increase the price of your product. The more customers you have and the higher the price of your product, the faster you will reach your financial goals. This concept is about increasing the volume of your trade to build momentum and generate more income in a shorter period of time. Somebody came to me and said they were poor. I asked them what they did for a living, and they said they repaired intercoms. I told them, if you fix one intercom, how long does it last? 10 years. How can you become rich if your product doesn't spoil frequently? Look around your house. How many of the things there do you buy regularly? For instance, if I'm an optician, how many Nigerians regularly change their glasses? Not many. Have you noticed that when a doctor dies, their hospital often closes down? Look at places like Father England Women's Hospital and Metropolitan. They may only still operate as schools of nursing because there's a consistent demand for nurses. So, the business you are in, are you producing something that a majority of people need on a daily basis with regularity? If you are offering a product or service that people don't need regularly, it's going to be hard to get rich. I don't know if I'm making sense, but consider this. If you give your offerings and pay your tithes but are a civil servant, you're like an unopened bottle of water. Even if the windows of heaven are opened, God won't pour blessings into a sealed container. You pay your tithe, serve, and do everything right. But if you are a civil servant, until there is a universal salary increase for civil servants, your financial situation won't change much. We pastors receive blessings through people's gifts, but you, as a civil servant, earn through your labor. We can become wealthy through favor, but you achieve wealth through labor. If your labor is in a sealed bottle, nothing changes. Now, if you open that bottle, let's say you start selling recharge cards in your office, you create a space for God to pour blessings into. When God pours out His blessings and fills your container, He will stop once it's full. Praying all night and falling under the anointing won't help if you don't create additional avenues for blessings to flow into your life. Some people specialize in seeking deliverance from every guest speaker, yet nothing changes. If I pray for you for 10 or 15 minutes, and the demon doesn't leave, it's not going to leave. Sometimes you need to change your strategy, not just seek more prayers. Lastly, when it comes to dealing with problems, you need to take action yourself. I don't fast for people. I eat. You need to find practical ways to change your situation, not just rely on spiritual interventions. Now, if you have a demon or a problem, I will eat and wait for you. If you decide to be violent, I'll beat the demon out of you. How can I start fasting for you when you've been consuming things that corrupt your blood? You should suffer the consequences of your actions, not me. Secondly, if God is going to struggle to pour blessings through a limited space, only a small amount will come in. God preferred to deal with Rahab, a harlot at the wall of Jericho who had accommodation, a place to hide the spies, and a rope for them to escape, rather than a righteous man living near the king's palace. So, if your business is not easily accessible, how will you make money? If your business is on the 3rd floor, old people will not come. That's why you see old Anglican and Baptist churches strategically located where people with money, who are very impatient, can easily reach them. Now, assuming you open another business in addition to the one you have and put it in an accessible place, when God opens the window, He will fill the space you created. What I have found with God is that immediately you create the space. He fills it. If you don't create the space, you can pray, fast, use your head, sow seeds, use anointing oil, and cook with it, but nothing will happen. Once you create the space, God will fill it. When He fills it, you will pray for more blessings, but He won't answer until you pray for more ideas. People should pray for more ideas. Some of our prayer sessions should be dedicated to thinking. If you bring another container and open it, God will pour blessings into it. It's not the devil limiting you, it's your ignorance. However, improvement is better than diversification. You must develop the capacity, character, and attitude to manage one business well before God will bless the next one. There's no second chance to make a good first impression. One satisfied customer will tell 10 others, and one dissatisfied customer will also tell 10 people about your flaws. We are the ones limiting God. The more we open up to opportunities, the more God will pour blessings on us. Are you following what I'm saying? But listen to this, and I will end here. Improvement in what you currently do is more important than just opening multiple businesses. Focus on doing what you do better, and the blessings will follow. The secret to wealth isn't found in tears or luck. People don't invest in poor individuals. They invest in those who already have something. This is reflected in the principle that to those who have, more will be given, and to those who lack, even what they have will be taken away. Therefore, the secret to wealth is understanding how to acquire and manage assets. Until you master the art of having and growing your assets, you won't be able to increase your wealth. To speed up your financial growth, you need greater knowledge of how to acquire and multiply what you have. Diversifying your income streams is essential. For example, I don't just preach. I run a school, sell various items, and invest in real estate. Real estate, in particular, has been a cornerstone of my wealth-building strategy. An old man taught me this secret early on. When my peers were spending money on cars, I was buying land. I bought one piece of land for $11,000 and sold it for $640,000. Another plot I bought for $350,000 is now valued at $70 million. This appreciation happened over less than 20 years. Real estate investment can significantly increase your financial speed because land appreciates over time. When you invest in real estate, 1. Appreciation. Your property value increases over time without any effort on your part. 2. Stability. Unlike other assets, land doesn't require maintenance costs like changing tires or oil. 3. Longevity. Your investment in land benefits future generations. God discussed land with Abraham for 25 years, emphasizing its long-term value. While others were buying cars, I was buying land, understanding that real estate would appreciate in value. I bought land for 9 years, waited until I finished buying, and only then laid the foundation. The value of the land increased significantly once it was developed. Investing in real estate means that as your land gets older, its value increases. Land doesn't get sick, doesn't depreciate like cars, and often increases in value even after natural calamities. Therefore, strategic real estate investment can ensure financial growth over time. In conclusion, to achieve wealth, focus on acquiring and multiplying assets, particularly in real estate. Don't be sentimental about spending on depreciating assets. Use your resources wisely, invest in appreciating assets, and develop a strategy for long-term wealth growth. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or thoughts to share.